Good morning. Welcome to Unity Longmont Spiritual Center on the 23rd of January, 2022. And I will be speaking today about spiritual transformation, looking at the story of Ruth and Naomi. And Faith Halverson-Ramos will provide us with music. So we'll start with music, please.
This song is called Peace Today by Faith Rivera. Peace is the promise I make today. There's nothing greater for me to say than to lay down my fears, lay down unhappiness, and surrender to the peace I choose today. Peace is the gift that I give today. No easy shortcut, peace is the way. I will lay down my pride, lay down self-righteousness, and surrender to the peace I choose today. My all I give, my love for all. My all I give, my love for all. Peace is the reason we're here today. No accident, we've been called by name, called to lay down our lives, stand up for greater good, and surrender to the peace we choose today. And surrender to the peace we choose today.
Thank you, Faith, for that song and that invocation. So, our beloved teacher, Thich Nhat Hanh, passed at the age of 95 on January 22nd, 2022 in Vietnam. And we call him Tay, teacher. So today, the prayer I'm going to use is part of his. May we be peaceful, happy, and light in body and spirit. May we be free from injury. May we live in safety. May we be free from disturbance, fear, anxiety, and worry. May we learn to look at ourselves with the eyes of understanding and love. May we be able to recognize and touch the seeds of joy and happiness within ourselves. May we learn to identify and see the sources of anger, craving, and delusion in ourselves. May we know how to nourish the seeds of joy in ourselves every day. May we be able to live fresh, solid, and free. May we be free from attachment and aversion, but not be indifferent. And so it is. And we'll have another piece of music from Faith.
This is one of my own songs inspired by the teachings of Te, called With Every Breath. With every breath we come to know ourselves. With every breath we come to know ourselves. With every breath, with every breath, with every breath we know ourselves. With every breath we come to know our thoughts. With every breath we come to know our thoughts. With every breath, with every breath, with every breath we know our thoughts. With every breath we come to know our hearts. With every breath we come to know our hearts. With every breath, with every breath, with every breath we know our hearts. With every breath we come to feel more peace. With every breath we come to know more peace. With every breath, with every breath, with every breath we feel more peace. With every breath, with every breath, with every breath we feel more peace.
Thank you so much, Faith. So when Bobby spoke last, she spoke of the divine feminine, and it really inspired me. And as soon as our service was over, I started thinking, I'm going to talk about Ruth and Naomi. And I was very excited about that, thinking what a great place to look for examples of the divine feminine. And a reminder that we are fully human and fully divine. So that inspiration was divine. What occurred next was fully human. I started to struggle with it. I spent a long time on the talk, and my masculine shadow part started showing up and trying to force something to happen with the talk. I did all kinds of lovely research of what Charles Fillmore meant by this, that, and the other, and typed out my talk, and it was just peppered with all of this stuff and not a lot of heart. And then this morning, a friend reminded me of the divine feminine in a conversation. So I'm going to take a breath and see where we go here and hope that it serves us. And as always, take what serves you and leave the rest. So looking at the story, it's a familiar story. Naomi was born in Bethlehem, which means the house of bread, substance. She married there and she had 2 sons. Then there was a great famine, so that family left to go to Moab. Naomi's husband, Elimelech, died. One son married Orpah, the other married Ruth, all of this in Moab. After 10 years, Naomi's 2 sons, Mahlon and Chilion, died, and Naomi was bereft and bitter. She heard that Jehovah had given bread to Bethlehem, where she came from. So she decided to return to that place. She told her daughters-in-law, "Go home to your parents, and I pray that Jehovah treats you both as kindly as you have treated me." The young women cried and said, no, they rather go with Naomi to her people. And Naomi said, no, go to the homes of your mothers, for I will never have sons again for you to marry. I grieve over that barrenness, for Jehovah's hand has gone against me. Orpah kissed Naomi and left, but Ruth clung to her. She clung to her. Naomi encouraged Ruth to follow Orpah, and Ruth replied, "Entreat me not to leave thee and to return from following after thee, for whither thou goest, I will go, and where thou lodgest, I will lodge. Thy people shall be my people, and thy God my God. Where thou diest will I die, and there will I be buried. Jehovah, do so to me and more also, if aught but death part thee and me." So they traveled to Bethlehem, and the city welcomed them. And the women there asked if it was Naomi returned, and she replied, "Call me not Naomi, call me Mara, for the Almighty hath dealt very bitterly with me. I went out full, and Jehovah hath brought me home again empty. Why call me Naomi, seeing Jehovah hath testified against me, and the Almighty hath afflicted me?" And so I pause and wonder, what the heck does that mean? Naomi, that name means winsome, and she no longer felt that. Mara means unwholesome desires, impulses, and distractions, and has the potential to be the death of a person's spiritual growth. So when she says, "Call me Mara," think of the suffering she is experiencing and the recognition that is happening within her about something she may have given up. For the longest time, I interpreted this story as being about two women who loved each other so much, and that Ruth was willing to sacrifice being in her community to go with her beloved mother-in-law. So as a child and for a long time, I took the story of sacrifice, that love includes sacrifice. Now, after looking at it more carefully, I see there's more. And in my monkey mind, I struggled with, I'm going to throw out the old and I'm going to take in the new. I'm going to make it either or, which is the shadow side of masculine energy, just throwing it out, that action of throwing it out. And then a little bit of the divine feminine showed up and said, both and. There's a both and to this story. So what is the and? The and is that Naomi is blaming God for her circumstances and not recognizing some of her suffering comes from the decisions she has made in life, like the decision to leave Bethlehem, the house of bread, when there was a famine. And a famine represents the loss of spiritual food, the loss of daily bread. And so she went to Moab, and Moab means destitution, scarcity, lack. and infers something about inherent humanity, that tendency to get lost in our humanity, lost from our divinity. So throughout her life there, with these losses, Naomi gave up her faith. Ruth, on the other hand, represents the purity of the divine feminine. She represents love, the love of which we all are made, that doesn't make for sacrifice. There is no sacrifice in truly loving another. There is cost in not allowing ourselves to love that other. That is shadow masculine, to repress that. We are, again, human and divine. And part of our being human is sense consciousness, being aware through our senses of ourselves and the world around us. And it's beautiful. We see these amazing sunsets. We smell food. We hear the song of birds. We taste the salt of the sea. These are all beautiful things. And yet, because we have divinity, we are invited not to stay stuck there, but to celebrate that and include, entwine, reunion with our divine. And we do that through prayer and meditation, because our soul has different aspects. Charles Fillmore talked about, we are here in this life to experience the unfoldment of soul. That really resonates for me, the unfoldment of soul. The word soul has really, really been spinning around me and through me recently. And we have different aspects of our soul, and it is within our soul that we have that humanity and that we have that divinity. And that divinity is whole, it is complete, we are born with it. And yet, because of our humanity, we begin to filter it. We begin sometimes to lose touch with it. Not only do our own minds do that, we are also part of a collective consciousness. Every thought, every experience that humans and animals have had throughout life. We move through that, we are of that. And so when we try to make some of these significant shifts, let us draw on the divine feminine and be really gentle with ourselves to recognize this is work. This can be pretty hard stuff. When we have a pull, we have a longing from the divine to be somewhere else in our soul. And we need to figure out how to do that without leaving our humanity. How do we reach reunion? When Ruth and Naomi got back to Bethlehem, there was a very strong yield of bread. And what is that? That's the reunion of humanity and divinity. That's being fed. That's us learning how to feed ourselves. So, it's not wrong to love the external. We're here on this beautiful planet to love that external. We're here, I think, to take care of this beautiful planet, which needs us right now. We're here to take care of each other. And how do we do that? Well, in part through the divine feminine. There's nothing wrong with the divine masculine. We need that also. We need to find some kind of balance. And each of those attributes have shadow. Living here as a human divine being is complex. It can be kind of tricky. So I personally think that part of what we're called for is to remind each other of our divinity, to remind each other of our value. You mean something to me. And it's so easy for me to love you. It would be hard for me to not love you, right? What gets in the way for me is anxiety. All of a sudden, my mind, my emotions, my body, everything get caught up in some kind of whirlwind of my own making. So as a human, I think it's incumbent upon all of us to learn all kinds of skills to settle back down into this wonderful body and to open up, which is a divine feminine thing, to open up to the divinity that is always there. Naomi represents the soul that has met adverse conditions and lost sight of the divinity. And Ruth represents the divinity, the purity of it. And when she says, my God will be thy God will be my God, I interpreted that as, oh, Ruth is going to leave her belief system, her faith, and go wherever Naomi goes. And now I understand that Ruth, by being Ruth, brought back a remembrance to Naomi of the divinity. So our soul is love. We are love. Can love ever be separated from that? No, it can't. But it can feel like that. We can feel alone. We can feel overwhelmed. We can feel less than. What do we do about that? Sometimes we do the bravest thing and reach out. Sometimes we do the bravest thing and say, I'm feeling lost right now. Will you sit with me? And sometimes when we see someone who gets lost in that same state that we get lost in, maybe the most courageous thing we can do is say, I see you and I am here with you. What if we don't know what to do for ourselves or another? Can we rest into those practices we have developed of meditation and prayer? I think so. I think we can go back to the basics. So this story, like many of the stories that are found in the world scriptures, is an opportunity to learn. It's an opportunity to learn who we are, what is ours here to do, to learn about service. I do think we're each here to provide service, and that can look so very different from one person to another. We have within us divine wisdom. Wisdom is often known as Sophia, a feminine quality. So when we can get still, when we can breathe, as our teacher Thich Nhat Hanh taught us, we can access every attribute of the divine within us. It is who we are. Martin Luther King says, we are all caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny. Whatever affects one directly affects all directly. We are made to live together because of the interrelated structure of reality. And so maybe it's helpful to remember, if I'm spiraling in a doom loop, and there's a part of me, my shadow part, that just wants to give up and let go and descend, maybe I can remember that by allowing myself to do that, I'm not serving me or you. And if you catch me in that doom loop, maybe you can say, hey, remember when? Remember when you said it's okay to come to you and remind you? So what are the attributes of the divine feminine? Being intuitive. Each and every one of us, we are intuitive. We have that knowing without understanding where it comes from or what it necessarily means. And then we can draw on the divine masculine to act on that knowing. There are 12 powers that Charles Fillmore identified that we all have, more than 12, but he really focused on 12. And it would be fun, I'm thinking in this moment, to go through each and establish whether it's more feminine or masculine in nature. One of those that seems masculine in nature to me is zeal, the power of zeal. Boy, is that energizing. So when we have that intuition, let's call on zeal to get energized and move forward with it. Another attribute of the divine feminine is being heart-centered. And by that, I mean the sacred heart that we all have. It's the part of us that just automatically feels compassion, that feels a kind of opening to whatever we are witnessing. The shadow side is to close down and hide from it. The light side is to be present to it, whatever it is. Another attribute is to be compassionate. I loved learning years ago when I began to teach a course on compassion, that the word compassion comes from a Greek word which means split open gut. When we learn of someone's suffering, what happens? Something in us just opens wide up. It just happens naturally. And then we choose to act on it or not. And the next one is wise. Again, that wisdom. And wisdom is about seeing and ascertaining the choices, discernment, judgment, what's best in this moment. Another is accepting. And I think of yin and yang when we talk about masculine and feminine. And acceptance, I think of as the Buddhist term of allowing. We allow it. It's a starting place. When we accept and truly see what's going out without denial or distortion, then we can make some choices, some wise choices. We have to start at that place of acceptance. And then the next is forgiving. There's been a lot of research and communication in the last few decades about what forgiving is. And one thing that's clear is it doesn't mean accepting poor behavior. Carolyn Mace talks about when we fail to forgive somebody, we are energetically plugged into them. We are draining our own sacred energy. And so one definition of forgiveness is to unplug, to stop feeding them our energy of anger, regret, resentment, to bring it back to be whole again. This feminine one really came up with the feminist movement, and that is collaboration. Collaborating with each other, not having to do it on our own, not needing to be divisive. Collaboration involves work. It involves the respect and the space to hear everyone's voice. It involves the acceptance of who everyone is and what their gifts are, and then finding ways for everyone to bring what they can offer to that problem or that decision. And because of our humanity, that can be kind of bumpy. Draw on our divinity, make it as smooth as possible. Another quality of the divine feminine is to be reflective, to stop, to pause, to be aware, to see, to know, to understand. That's important before we take action. And this is a fun one. Creative. Creativity is so joyous. You know, the act of doing it, of allowing it, of birthing it is just delightful. And imagine doing that creativity in collaboration. Wow, multiplies that energy. Creativity is giving birth to something, whether it's an idea, an inspiration, an actual object, it's something new. Another is sensual. We have these human bodies with our five senses. There's nothing wrong with that. You walk by a flower, inhale deeply. You see the beloved face of an unknown baby. Let that affect your senses. Let that expand the love within. Enjoy food. Enjoy music. Enjoy sounds. Enjoy movement. Enjoy being embodied. It is sensual to be feminine. And kindness is feminine. Loving kindness. Being mindful of what we're going to say or do. To be thoughtful about how will my words land with this person or this group. We know from our own experiences in the last few years, there's a lot of unkindness, a lot of anger, rage, divisiveness that has gone on. And there's something seductive about that drama and that intensity. I know, and I've shared with you over the last couple of years, how I've gotten caught up in judgment. When someone doesn't do what I think they ought to do, So I'm learning to be kind to myself when I catch myself. And I want to cultivate kindness as a practice, loving kindness. And for me, sometimes that will take stop, pause, take a breath, dip into that divinity that knows kindness, that is kindness, and then say something. It can make for an awkward conversation. All of a sudden, there's this big empty space. But hopefully, with practice, it'll get a little smoother. Gentle. It is divine feminine to be gentle. Gentle with ourselves, gentle with others. I'm thinking of Thich Nhat Hanh in this moment, who is such an embodiment of the divine feminine. I don't know that I've ever seen or heard someone so kind as he. I got to see him years ago in DC when he was doing a retreat for Congress and their family members. And before he came out onto the stage in this very small venue, there were nuns and monks around. And the biggest mindfulness bell I've ever seen in my life. And it was quiet up there. And already their presence was coming out into the audience. Already the temperature, the feel of the room changed. And then when this tiny monk, this tiny humble man came out, the room took a breath. And that was his divinity. That was his divine feminine self. When he walked each and every step, he kissed the earth. This was not a maybe practice for him. He went into the monastery at the age of 16 and began to practice his lifelong loving kindness. What I want to take from his death is the responsibility to continue his work here. I think we all can do that. Whether we identify that soul work with him or someone else, it's ours to do, I believe. So let us step into joy. Let us step into love and kindness and wisdom. Let us find our way through this life with both the divine feminine and the divine masculine, with awareness of the shadow that comes with being human, and that it's all there, it's all here for the unfoldment of our souls. For the unfoldment of our souls. And so it is. And for our meditation today, I would like to just repeat Ruth's words and ask you to be open to what they mean to you in this moment. Entreat me not to leave thee, and to return from following after thee. Entreat me not to leave thee. For whither thou goest, I will go. Whither thou goest, I will go. And where thou lodgest, I will lodge. Thy people shall be my people, my people. And thy God, my God, my God. and we will hear from Faith with her beautiful music.
This is a song called Gentle with Myself by Karen Drucker and Robin Posen. I will be gentle with myself. I will be gentle with myself. And I will hold myself like a newborn baby child. I will be gentle with myself. I will be gentle with myself. And I will hold myself like a newborn baby child. I will be tender with my heart. I will be tender with my heart. And I will hold my heart like a newborn baby child. I will be tender with my heart. I will be tender with my heart. And I will hold my heart like a newborn baby child. And I will only go as fast as the slowest part of me feels safe to go. And I will only go as fast as the slowest part of me feels safe to go. I will be easy on myself. I will be easy on myself. And I love myself like a newborn baby child. I will be easy on myself. I will be easy on myself. And I love myself like a newborn baby child. And I will only go as fast as the slowest part of me feels safe to go. And I will only go as fast as the slowest part of me feels safe to go. I am gentle with myself. I am gentle with myself. And I hold myself like a newborn baby child. I am gentle with myself. I am gentle with myself. And I hold myself like a newborn baby child. And I love myself like a newborn baby child.
Thank you so much, Faith. Thich Nhat Hanh taught us that when something we might deem negative, like anger, rage, sorrow, whatever, comes to our attention, arises within us, to take a breath and to hold that part of ourselves like an infant. It does not serve us to reject it. And when we hold that part of ourselves like an infant, it begins to transform. So in this donation of love and light today, let us place our hands on our heart and be aware of the love and light within us. Allow that to expand and also allow it to feed and nurture any parts of us that need it. This love, this light are divine and always available, always with us, for we are love and light. And so it is. And we'll finish with a piece of music from Faith.
This last song is Allowing by Susie Hulcher. It's all about allowing peace within, in absolute surrender, so serenity begins. For when the storm subsided and calm becomes the way, it's all about allowing it to stay. It's all about allowing love to flow. It's setting down your burden and just simply letting go. For as you cease the struggle and love pours through your heart, it's all about allowing it to start. It's all about allowing peace within, in absolute surrender, so serenity begins. For when the storm subsided and calm becomes the way, it's all about allowing it to stay. It's all